Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing my get ready with me using my luxury beauty favorites. So I've already done the sit down version where I talk about all these products in depth, but if you want to see these products in action, just stay tuned. Starting with the eyes, I'm going to do a different look with this Chanel eyeshadow quad just because it is limited edition and I want to use it while you can get your hands on it so I can just show you some makeup looks in action. I have already done 2 makeup looks using this palette, so I will link those down below. And today I'm going to do something slightly different, a little more smoky. So I'm going to go in with the deepest shade in the palette right here, and I'm going to take that not on a flat shader brush, which I usually apply to apply shadows on the lid. I'm going to use a more stiff blending brush. So this is the Wayne Goss number 18 brush. And I'm just going to grab that on the brush's side. I'm going to tap off that excess, and I'm going to apply that to the lid. Just because this shade is a little deeper than what I normally use on the lid, I don't want this to go on as opaque and pigmented. So I can apply this onto the lid and then also blend it out as well, just so I get a softer look and it's not super intense. And then I'm just gonna work really slowly. So I'm building it up, starting at the bottom of my eye, and then I'm working that color upwards when less of the pigment is on the brush. And then I'm going to kind of pat that color onto the outside corner as well, where I want a little more depth of that color. And then again, I'm just working my brush upwards, wiggling it back and forth so that I get a little bit of that blended effect into the crease as well, just because I do want this color to go all the way up to the crease. So basically you're always going to look crazy when you are doing your eyes first, but I want to use that eyeshadow as a base. And then over top, I'm going to take this golden shade here, and this one has the most continuous sheen to it. It has no real shimmer particles, it just has a beautiful sheen. Like I said, it gives you that glossy eyed effect. So I'm going to take that on my Sonia G. This is the Builder 2 brush, which is a flat shader brush. And then to get a little bit more opacity from that product, I am going to spray it with the Pure Rose Water from Chantecaille. So I'm just going to wet my brush and then go in with that color again, and I'm going to press that all over the lid. So this will just add a bit more intensity with this shade over top. The shade is going to appear a little bit deeper because I'm using that deeper shade as a base. And just for a little more brightness, just right in the center of the eye, I'm going to take the most sparkly shade in the palette, and I'm going to just dab into that shade once and kind of get that product dispersed on my fingers, and then I'm just going to dab that right on the center of the lid just to add a brightening effect right there and nowhere else. And then I kind of like how that looks because the sporadic shimmer just is right there on the center of the eye to add that more awake and brightening effect. And then for the lower lash line, I'm again going to take that deepest shade and just run it along the outer corner of my eye, and I'm going to make sure to connect that to the outer corner on the top lid so that everything flows. And then I am going to take this shade and I'm going to apply it to the inner half of my lower lash line. And I want to add just a little bit of depth to the top lash line, so I'm going to take this deepest shade again on a smudger brush. This is a Wayne Goss 07, and I'm just going to smudge that across the upper lash line. This is going to be hardly noticeable, but it adds a very slight difference. And then for a final touch, I want to make sure all the edges are seamless. So I'm going to take just a blank Sonia G Blender Pro, and I'm going to go over all the edges and just blend that out so that everything is seamless. My favorite mascara combo is still the same. It is the Dior 3D Lash Maximizer, and I use this as a primer, and then over top with the Kier Weiss Impossible Mascara. I just use 1 coat of this, 2 coats of this. And then because I did mention the Victoria Beckham, I thought I'd just show you. Now, I think this palette is beautiful enough on its own that you don't require to go in with an eyeshadow topper. And in fact, you could just use this as an eyeshadow topper. But I found my favorite way to use this is actually using this as a base eyeshadow that I showed in my Dior foundation review. But I am going to take this Victoria Beckham, just again, to show it to you in action. This is the Victoria Beckham Lid Luster in the shade Honey. My favorite way to apply this is either as a one and done or using it to finish off an eye look. So with these, fingers for sure is the best way to apply this. I don't like how they apply with a brush. And then I'll just I like to kind of disperse it in between my fingers because that way I won't get as much glitter. It kind of softens the sporadic glitter in this eyeshadow. It makes it appear more smooth on the eyes. I have found that at least. And then I'm just going to apply that just to finish off this eyeshadow just on top. This just adds a little bit of sparkle, so it's definitely more shimmery than the eyeshadow quad by itself. So it just adds a little bit more jazz to this look. So this is something I would definitely reserve in the evening because now does have that kind of sporadic shimmer to it. And even though you can detect those shimmer particles, I don't think it's an obnoxious glitter or anything like that. But for me, this is just a look I would normally reserve for the evening time. And then again, I'm going to take a blank brush and I'm just going to run over all the edges. If I found that anything was harsh at this point, I would just go in with a face powder and use that to kind of blur the edges as well. I like to do that to finish off an eye look sometimes. So moving on to the face, my favorite primer has been the Victoria Beckham. I actually prefer the golden one over the original just because I think it's even more perfecting just because of the color tint that it gives. So I'm just going to go in with a pump of that and I just rub it in my hands and apply it all over the skin. It feels just so nice. So I don't know if you can tell that just has a slight perfecting effect. Now my skin is sensitive, so it goes a little bit red after I've kind of touched my face. But I think it's just really pretty because it does add a slight skin tint. And then there are properties in here that help kind of refine the look of texture and pores a little bit. And like I said, because of the Victoria Beckham blush that gave me a reaction, I was struggling with a little bit of texture in the front of my face. And this just really helps smooth out that area. And for me, and I will show you guys a look with this, I like to go in with a concealer just on an everyday basis, a really light eye makeup look, and then just have that as my makeup of the day. But I am going to use my favorite concealer of the month, and that is the Sisley Phyto-Eclat Eye Concealer with Botanical Extracts in the shade 2. So I like to just go under the eyes here. And then I also like to do the outer corners, and again with this concealer it's a little harder to be as precise, but you can get it done. And then from here I'll just blend that in with a Beauty Blender sponge, and sometimes with like a lighter coverage concealer you can actually let that concealer sit under your under eyes for about 30 seconds to get a little bit more fuller coverage, but you don't need to let this concealer sit at all because it just has that fuller coverage because of the concealer. And it's just so nice on the under eyes. It blends super easily. You don't have to put much effort into it. It doesn't look makeup-y, even though it really does a great job of counteracting that darkness on my under eyes. And that's really impressive for a fuller coverage concealer to not look heavy or to not look even the slightest bit makeup-y. So I am very impressed with this. And the most important thing to me is that I don't need to set this concealer with powder, so that is excellent as well. Foundation, the Dior Capture Totale Super Potent Serum Foundation. Again, in the shade 3N, I love this foundation so much. So I like to give it a good shake. And then today I'm just going to apply one pump of the foundation just because I feel like with that Victoria Beckham primer, I already have a slight perfecting property to my skin that I'm only going to need the one pump of foundation. And then I'm just going to go in with that product, again on the palm of my hand so that it doesn't absorb into the back of my hand. And then just go onto the skin. And this is just flawless, and it's not flawless in that it has tons of coverage. It's just flawless in the way it smooths and blurs the skin, really refining the look of any texture or pores on the skin. And it just sits so beautifully all day long. It doesn't fade, it doesn't crease, it doesn't move around, it doesn't get greasy or oily. In fact, I feel like it looks even better after I've worn this foundation for 4-ish hours, if that's even possible. My skin just always looks amazing when I go to check in on this foundation. Even at the end of a long day, I just think it's lovely. And I really like the finish of this. For me, this has a velvet finish. So it's not completely matte. It has a little bit of like a skin-like glow to it, but it's not glowy or radiant on my skin personally. I do have drier skin. And I really like the coverage. You just need a little bit of this foundation and you get a really nice, I would say medium coverage, light to medium for sure. If you just go in with one pump, you can get more of that lighter coverage, but you can build it up and it is a very buildable foundation. And it looks so refined on my pores and texture in the front of my face. I wish you could see it in person, but if you guys try this out, you will totally know what I mean. It just sits beautifully over top of the skin. It just melts into the skin and you don't see makeup sitting on top of your skin. This is truly one of the best foundations, if not the best foundation I have ever tried. I obviously have to keep playing with it because it is new to my collection, but I will of course keep you updated, but I just am loving it so much so far. And for blush, I'm going to start out taking the Cle De Peau cream blush. This is the shade Persimmon number 3. So this is a little bit of a brighter peachy shade, but it's just so beautiful, and it's one of the few cream blushes that do not give me a reaction. So I just like to apply this with a more dense brush, and with this, it just blends seamlessly. You almost don't even have to put in any effort into blending this. You just kind of pat it on like this, and it just melts into the skin. It is a very seamless cream blush formula, so I just love it so much. Now you can use this cream blush over powder, like I mentioned in my favorites video. But my favorite way to use this, and really any cream blush, if I have one that I want to use, is using it as a base underneath my powder product, so that way my blush will be set in and it will last all day long. I'm not going to have to worry about it fading. And that is what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to set that cream blush in with the powder product, but I am going to move on to the bronzer. This is the Sisley Phyto-Touche. This is the Sun Glow Bronzing Gel Powder. And again, I really need a new one, but you can tell that I obviously love this bronzer by looking at it. And I am going to take this on a Rephr 22 brush, and I'm just going to bronze the skin up. So I like to just start at the forehead and then apply to the cheeks and everywhere else to get that beautiful glow. And I always go back to this bronzer because I am never unhappy when I use this. I always think that my makeup looks beautiful when I use this bronzer. So if I'm ever unsure on a bronzer to use, this is just a great standout product because I know it's going to look good with any look. And I just love the very soft glow that it has, but it still looks very skin-like. It doesn't look too shimmery or anything like that. You're not going to see shimmer particles sitting on the skin, but it's a really nice warm bronzer. So if I ever feel like maybe my skin is looking like it needs a little bit more health to it, maybe I am super tired or something, this is a great bronzer to pull for because it is that warmer tone, and I just feel like it gives life back to my skin. And then I am going to take some of that bronzer on just a pencil brush, and I'm going to run that across the lower lash line. Again, I like to finish off a makeup look like this, and then sometimes I will add a little bit of that bronzer in the crease as well, just to tie everything together. But this will just finish off the eye look. And I'm going to take a little bit of the highlighter. This is the Hermes Permabrass highlighter, and I'm taking it on a MAC 228 brush. I'm just going to bring this into the inner corner to add some brightness to this eye look because it is a little bit smoky. It's nothing too crazy or anything, but I just like to add a little bit there versus bringing the highlight into the very inside corner of the eye just because I feel like it can look a little odd and heavy in that area. So I like to bring it just inside the inner corner of the eye to brighten that up, almost like in the inner crease of the eye. I just feel like it has a really nice eye-opening effect. And then again, it doesn't look too overwhelming in the inner corner where I don't know why, I just feel like it looks weird on me if I apply highlight there. And then I am going to take this beautiful highlight on Sonia G. This is a mini cheek. And I'm going to apply this to the cheekbones. And I don't know if you can see just that stunning glow that this gives, but it's not an overwhelming glow. Again, it's another Big Jelly formula, so it's just going to melt right in. And I just think this makes my skin look even better. So it's a highlight that doesn't emphasize texture. It just makes your skin underneath look better, which I think is an amazing thing for a highlighter to do. This truly does highlight the tops of your cheekbones without it taking over and looking too over the top. I really enjoy my cheeks to look enhanced when I apply a highlighter versus the highlighter being the only thing you can see on your cheeks. And this for me is exactly what it does. It really enhances my cheeks and just makes my skin look better. And then moving on to the powder blush, the Cle De Peau in the shade 105. I just can't get enough of this. This is probably the #1 blush that I have in my collection. I just think it is so stunning. So really recommend this formula if you have not tried it out yet. It is just such a beautiful blush. And again, it really enhances your skin without it taking over or anything. It just looks like your cheeks but better. And it gives such a beautiful, youthful glow to the cheeks, but you don't see any sheen on your cheeks at all. You can't even detect any shimmer particles. It just gives such a beautiful glow. And again, it's similar to the Hermes where it just makes my skin look better. It makes my skin look enhanced and just very pretty. So I love that type of formula. And so what I did, I just realized I didn't even explain. I went into this shade first, so I just dipped my brush in like 3 times, and then I went into this shade, and then I just took off the excess. And then for blush, I like to just pat that product on because I have drier skin, and again, I like everything to look really smooth on the skin, and I don't want texture to be emphasized, so I never buff my blush or my bronzer into the skin, because then that's when you can start emphasizing texture on the skin, because you're going to pick up dry spots or anything like that. So by patting the product in, I'm just kind of helping that product just melt into the skin. And you can see I go in quite a few times because I really want that product to melt in my skin versus sitting on top of the skin. Now, I do have to mention this product, although I did not mention it in my favorites, because it literally came yesterday and I tried it out. So yesterday was the first time I used it. But this is by far the best tight line eyeliner that I have ever used. This is the Sisley Phyto-Khol Star Waterproof Eyeliner in the shade Matte Onyx. So it's just a matte black shade. And this, if you have never been able to find anything that stays in your tight line or it starts transferring throughout the day, this is the answer. Yes, it's expensive for a tight line eyeliner, but I have never found anything that does not move from my tight line to the bottom waterline. I'll kind of show you, I kind of just wiggle this product up into my top lash line. I don't know if you can tell the difference that makes. It just makes your lashes look a little bit thicker so that you don't really require to go in with as much eyeliner on the top lash line. I just like how it makes my lashes look thicker, and it just really enhances them. And I just think it makes my eye look better, because it kind of looks weird if you just apply mascara and then have a gap of white from where your lash line is. So that just fills it in. I just applied a little bit of mascara to the bottom lashes, and then taking my favorite Cle De Peau Refining Pressed Powder, and I just take this on a Sonia G. This is a Face Pro. And then I just focus right on the center of my face. I go a little bit on the chin, and then I go on the nose and just in the center of my forehead, just where I want to take away any shine that might come up later through the day. And then this also does a great job, like I said, of just refining the look of your skin. It just makes everything look better. You look poreless, you look blurred. And then for lips, I didn't have a favorite lip liner, but this is a perennial favorite, the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Lip Cheat. So I'm just gonna line and fill in my lips. Lips are filled in, and like I mentioned, I do like the Charlotte Tilbury lip liner on its own with a little bit of lip balm. But for me, it's just it's a tad too deep to just wear as like an everyday nude, just slightly. So I'm taking the Chanel, this is the Rouge Coco Baume in the shade 912 Dreamy White. And this will just help brighten up that lip liner a little bit. It will make the lip liner more comfortable so I can wear it all day long. And can you see that slight brightening effect? It almost adds a milkiness to it. And it just smooths out the lips. My lips look better with this on. It almost like smooths out any lip lines and just adds a really beautiful blurred effect to your lips. I like products that have a blurring effect, if you can't tell. I like my skin to look blurred, but I like it to look blurred without having a ton of coverage. I still like my skin to shine through. But anyways, talking about the lips. And again, I don't like lip product to look like it's sitting on top of the skin or on top of the lips. And I like my lips to look really soft and almost lived in. I like to kind of make one feature look more lived in. So for me, that's going to be my lips. So I like to just smudge them out. So again, it looks more lived in and a little more natural, even though I have lip product on there. It just looks a little more natural. But this is the look finished. I really love how it all came together. I think it looks really pretty. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know down below your favorites from the month of January. Have you tried any of these products out that I have mentioned? I would love to know if you are loving them as much as I am. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like this video if you like it, and I'll see you in my next video.